the most important tool in that leadership technology is yourself, is your capacity to move on from the current self, the small s self, to the capital S self. So the most important tool in that new leadership technology is your capacity to access your authentic self. And as we said last time, the essence of presencing really is to investigate that space, the space of nothingness between the small s self and the capital S self, defined as our highest future possibility. And usually kind of these two selves are not very well connected. And what presencing helps us to do is to make these two aspects of our deeper self listening to one another. So that's number 4. The most important tool of this leadership technology is your capacity to access your authentic self. Number 5, whenever we, and with we I mean us as human systems, as individuals, as groups, as institutions, as larger systems, or even kind of as civilizations on a larger scale, if we face disruptive challenges, kind of that life and work puts in front of us, if we discuss the disruptive challenges, the ecological, the economical, the social, and so forth. So if we as humans face disruptive challenges in our environment, there are 2 different ways how we can respond. And the first way to respond to that is this. The first way of responding is actually going through this process of presencing. And the second way of responding to the same situation would be to go through a process of absencing that I'm going to briefly indicate here. Absencing basically means that we stay in this mode. We stay in the mode of downloading. So when I'm facing a new situation that really requires me to see with fresh eyes, to really attend, to access my open mind, to see what's going on, and yet all I can do is to look at that situation through my old frameworks. What is it that I'm doing? I'm not moving into the cognitive space of seeing, but I am moving into the cognitive space of blinding myself, right? It's not seeing, it's blinding. So I hold on to the downloading, and that really means I'm blinding myself. If I'm in a situation, kind of like you in the empathy walk or in some other situation, where life is asking you, where the challenges in front of you are asking you to move into sensing, to access this source and intelligence and to connect with a situation that you're facing on a deeper way, and you hold on to downloading, what is it that happens? You are thrown into an anti-space, into a space of that can be called desensing. Desensing is that I am unable to put myself into these shoes of the others. I'm kind of stuck. I'm entrenched. Desensing could be also, I'm entrenching myself into the old collective space that I'm inhabiting, and I'm unable to to come out of my own trenches and look at the situation through another pairs of eyes. And if I am like we heard in the situation here, if I'm in a situation where life is asking me to let go and to connect with, this deeper space of presencing and self. And yet, all I can do is kind of to hold on to the old patterns of self, the old patterns of intention and will. What happens is that I am thrown into a space that could be called absencing. All right, so what is the essence? If you look at this and ask yourself, okay, what is the essence here of really this blinding? The essence of that is, rather than accessing your open mind, you have one truth, right? You hold on to the old truth. You're not open to seeing it in a new way. And then, as you move here, what is the essence of the desensing? It is not doing this, but which is accessing kind of a different, moving across the boundaries, but it is being stuck in one collective. So here you are stuck in one truth. Here you are stuck in one collective skin. One collective skin that puts you into that disables you to move outside of that collective skin and connect with other collectives. And then on the third level, the level of open will, if you're holding on, if you're rigid, if you're freezing, if you move into a freeze reaction rather than letting go, you're freezing here. What is that? It's kind of getting stuck in one self, which is the old self, and one kind of will and intention, which is the old intention. So if we look at that phenomenon, one truth, one collective, and one self, that's what we call fundamentalism. So that phenomenon is called fundamentalism. And fundamentalism, of course, is a key phenomenon we see around the world as part of the current changes. So what we see in the world, what we see outside and within our communities is both a significant opening along the lines of, the seeing and sensing and connecting to the deeper sources of what is wanting to emerge. And yet, at the same time, the same challenges also trigger, in other parts of our human system here, these types of responses of, blinding, desensing, absencing, where we get stuck in one truth, in one us, one collective, and one old self. And if you take any kind of human system on any level, and you do these two things. So when you look at what essentially is blinding and desensing, blinding and desensing is essentially to cutting off the horizontal connection. Because the essence of seeing and sensing is that you really connect with what is out there, with your mind, with your heart. If you cut that off, you get the result is stuck in one truth, stuck in one collective. So that's kind of all kind of propaganda machines. If you want to create a war machine, then of course the first thing you do is in your propaganda you dehumanize the other, right? That is exactly what's happening here. The desensing is dehumanizing the other so that you can, it's not one of us, and that's why you can apply different standards. And then the absencing really is essentially about cutting the connection here, cutting the connection between the current and the emerging future self. So, and the result is you're stuck in this little thing and unable to connect to here. So that's what absencing is. You could say, if you do that to any kind of human system, you cut the horizontal connection, and then you cut the vertical connection. What's the result? The result is that you have robots, basically. You have robots. You have that you can freeze into old types of behavior that you even can reprogram if you kind of move into that space over there.